Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the GungHo Collab that has just returned to North America. So, as a general statement, the GungHo Collab is owned by GungHo, which in turn means that this event will come back on a regular basis, cards will be buffed on a regular basis, which in turn means there is less pressure to roll right now, because you have that certainty that things will return in the future, and at the same time, the event may have different kind of characteristics. It could be mixed with the rare egg machine, it could have a separate egg machine like we have right here, but the point of the matter is this event will return, so you don't have to feel super pressured to roll in here right now. That being said, basically all of the cards that are currently featured at this point in time have received various buffs or new evolutions to give them significantly more value. There are several new cards here as well, along with the fact that the roster lineup does change and rotate. So before you roll, if you are truly gung-ho about acquiring a certain card, check to see if they actually are available, because things like, say, Zeta are unavailable at this point in time. So in terms of what is good about this event, like I said, it has the chance of always coming back. It's always going to come back. You always have that level of certainty. And there is a tremendously large rolling pool. And this is going to obviously greatly increase the length of this video. So if you do want to find a certain or specific card, utilize the timestamps down below. But you have a 25% chance to acquire any of these many different 7-star cards, 27% chance for the 6, and 48% for any of the 5-star cards. So basically, just over half of the time, you will get a diamond egg. So with such a large roster of cards you can pull, you have, in theory, a much lower chance of pulling a duplicate. But in that same breath, because it's such a large rolling pool, you're very unlikely to hit the card you actually want to have. So with that in mind, if you are truly interested in some of these cards at the top rarity, it may be best to just utilize the monster exchange system, because at the bottom rarity, in my opinion, I don't feel like they offer enough for a well-developed monster box. If you have a well-developed monster box, I feel like the bottom rarity cards will not provide much value for yourself at all, and they do constitute 48% of the rolls at the same time, so that is a risk you will have to play around with. At the same time, it only costs 6 magic stones per roll, and you do have a pretty high chance of getting something at the top, so rolling a bit will probably not be a bad thing, especially if you're brand new to this event. If you've never acquired any of these cards, they might provide some niche situational value, especially the diamond eggs. Like, I feel as a general statement, any of the diamond eggs are reasonably useful. They have some value in either their weapon assist or their chibi forms, so you might have some value there. But without further ado, let's just jump right into the cards. So the first new card is Minerva. So a lot of these cards share the same name as other Rare Machine cards, so sometimes they're abbreviated as like GungHo Minerva. And they have dark forms for their 7-star forms, so sometimes it might be called Dark Minerva. Those are just the colloquial things I might say. Either way, Minerva in her base form is a truly powerful rainbow leader. She has a nice 777 combo, she has super poison resist, and she has a 3-turn base cooldown which can be utilized to inherit other things on top of it, or be used on a regular basis to provide a small to possibly reasonable sized attack bonus for a single turn. As a leader, she provides bonuses for God-type spawns, so naturally you're restricted to God types, which in turn means you probably will become best friends of Dire, because he is also restricted to gods. But in addition to bolstering God types, you have large amounts of health and effective health. You have a health multiplier and a damage reduction multiplier, so you're quite tanky. You do have a respectable attack multiplier, and you have bonus combos with each Minerva. All you have to do is match 4 or more colors, which should definitely be doable. And that's important because Dire has a 10 combo awakening, so you want to obviously hit 10 combos on a regular basis, which Minerva will help you do. And while Minerva doesn't have an RCV multiplier, Dire does, so you basically kind of balance each other out. You give more health, more bulk, some extra damage reduction, bonus combos, solid leadership pairing all around. In terms of drawbacks for her, I don't feel her active skill is truly magical to use like on a regular basis. Like, it's a gemstone style active skill that scales off the number of time extends on the team. So the amount of burst bonus it does provide will greatly vary from team to team, but at the same time, you may not be sufficient enough to actually pierce through later spawns. In that same breath, you can overwrite any attack debuff, which can be meaningful. And again, with a 3-turn cooldown, you can definitely inherit something over top of her. So as a whole, Minerva is a wonderfully strong rainbow leader that provides bonuses for god types and will be a great pairing for your Dire. Next is her dark form, and I don't find her dark form anywhere nearly as attractive, because her base form is a powerful rainbow leader that has a great pairing. But for her dark form, Her active skill is recover 50% of your max health and then create 6 light orbs. So you do get to guarantee yourself a row, and when utilized as a leader, you actually have damage reduction when above 50% health. So this can definitely be meaningful, and that automatic heal can help ensure that you stay within those healthy margins. At the same time, you have a reasonably high attack multiplier when you match 6 or more connected light orbs and some health. Now, teams that need to be above 50% health are becoming a bit more popular because their attack multipliers are not tied to their health thresholds, unlike Edward, who was one of the original ones long time ago. So as long as you can stay above half health, you have quite a large amount of effective health, and it's only really large multi-hits that can be problematic. And with a 2.25 times health multiplier, you have a reasonable bulk. You maybe have, say, like 80,000 health or so. So you have 40,000 basically times 4. So you basically have, with dual leaders, a significant amount more health than you would think. But you still have to be mindful of the fact that you don't have any bonus combos, you don't have auto follow-up attack, and this Dark Minerva as your leader has basically no personal damage. So that's going to be problematic because your leaders are not contributing personal damage. They don't really provide much utility necessarily. Like, that heal is not quite necessary. Orb Changer is cool, but it's not necessarily solving true mechanics. So as a whole, I feel like she's just inferior as a leader by comparison. For her weapon assist, it provides a God Killer. And there are only 2 cards that have God Killer Awakening as a weapon assist. So quite a bit of unique niche value there. But at the same time, I don't feel that it's going to surpass her base form. Her base form is still a strong leader. And there will be obviously a point in time where it becomes less powerful. So you might convert to a weapon assist in the future. But at this point in time, I'm not inclined to pursue this weapon assist if I only have a single Minerva. The next card here is Lakshmi. So GungHo Lakshmi is an Orb Skin card, which means you are able to directly purchase her if that's of interest to yourself. You also cannot monster exchange for her, so bit of pros and cons there. But for her base form, she has 2 10 combo awakenings with a solid amount of base attack, which means she has 25 times personal damage against any spawn, and she has balance typing, so she can use any killer latent, which in turn means that she does meaningful damage against your most dangerous spawn all the time. She also has 4 enhanced fire orbs. She could have potentially 2 more skill boosts or super jam resist, depending on what your preference is. But the 4 enhanced fire orbs provide a significant amount of passive damage across the entire team. So damage output should be largely solved utilizing Lakshmi as a leader or a sub. For her active skill, it's on a 9-turn cooldown and provides 7 turns of damage reduction by 30%, and then changes wood to fire orbs. So one Lakshmi can almost provide a constant loop for themselves, and that's valuable because you just gain 30% damage reduction essentially at all times. It's never going to be a bad thing to have, and it can protect your teams against larger gravities if you have even some amount of damage reduction in a leader's skill in some way, shape, or form. This, in conjunction with Lakshmi's active, will basically guarantee you can tank any preemptive, including Raphael's 150% preemptive in Shura Realm, which will kill teams that don't have that damage reduction regardless of their health value. So this long-lasting shield has merits there. And as a leader, she has 4 times health, or 2 times health of a single leader, and 18 times attack. So respectable attack multiplier, nice amount of health. You get bonus combos when matching 7 or more connected fire orbs and your full attack multiplier. The problem with that is you need 7 or more fire orbs. It makes a row inefficient or difficult to do on a 6x5 board because a row would need now 6 plus 2 in order to work. 7x6, you still get the full row of 7, so that's okay. So there's a bit of a drawback there as a leader, because the thing is you have to hit those 10 combos, because if you don't hit those 10 combos, you will not be dealing a meaningful amount of damage, which is obviously problematic. So with that in mind, you have to think, are there any other strong fire teams that award many bonus combos where she truly can be taken advantage of? And I feel like she doesn't have that many places to be truly taken advantage of, but at the same time, if more fire leaders come out that give bonus combos, or you can more reliably hit 10 combos and utilize her as a sub, she will gain significantly more value. For her dark form, she has a massive amount of attack stat. She has 777 combo and many L's. And she does have a leader skill that wants you to match dark or fire orbs in an L shape. So she's naturally going to go hand in hand with the brand new Godfest exclusive Reeche, who will give you a 7x6 board and give you incredibly solid multipliers. The two together have 2.25 times health, 288 times attack, 3 times recovery, 67.5% damage reduction. That's a massive amount of damage reduction. and auto follow attack damage on a 7x6 board. So you've got quite a few good things going for you at the same time, along with the fact that she has a 2-turn base cooldown, which can counter all spinners, as well as being able to carry an inherit of your choice. The main drawbacks of this team is that you must match a Fire or Dark L. With the 7x6, this does become offset, but making a VDP becomes more orb hungry. You need 14 orbs to do so, which is not going to happen without Orb Changer intervention, which can be a little problematic. And at the same time, you have to match the L for the damage reduction. If you don't match the L, you're going to have some issues. So saving orbs might be problematic, stalling might be a little problematic, and at the same time, 7x6 is also punished at this point in time. Right now, Sure Realm and Altarina 4 have various spawns that will provide different mechanics, which are obviously to the detriment of the player if they are entering with a 7x6 leader. That can be problematic, but it can be managed. It does slow down and or hinder or make your life a little bit more difficult, but it is still doable. You can overcome those spawns, but just be mindful of the fact that 7x6 is currently less preferred. And without 7x6, I feel like Dark Lakshmi will have a terrible time because void spawns are just going to be worse. You need 14 orbs on a tiny little board with no bonus combos. It's going to be a little problematic. For her weapon assist, I don't think it's that magical for a top rarity weapon assist. I would much prefer to use her base form because it provides an enhanced hard orb and a tape resist. And those are situationally helpful awakenings, but they don't tend to be as universally beneficial as a whole. And the active skill, while it does provide you with that nice 30% damage reduction, it's harder to loop as an inherit. But one thing that I can say as a possible usage for this is as a long-lasting shield, because in Altarina 4, if you have less than 98,138 health with no awakenings, you will die to the Mine plus Corone combo of Mine basically taking away your one-turn shields, and then bam, Corone smacks you for that large preemptive. This damage reduction for 7 turns will provide you with enough effective health to survive, but I still think it's a relatively niche usage overall. Next is Loki, and Loki has a unique kit in all his forms. In their base form, they have some team health, they have 7 combos, they can get super blinders, they have VDP, they have reasonable offensive awakenings, and they have a unique active skill. A unique leader skill. Their active skill gives you a bit of 3 times orb movement time, 3 times attack, and create 3 water orbs. It's okay, sure, it's a little long at 8 turns though. Their leader skill is truly interesting. You have only 25% of the amount of health you normally would, but you have 93.75% damage reduction. So you are a team with a tiny amount of health, but massive amounts of damage reduction. And this damage reduction only occurs when matching 2+ water combos. And that is a truly risky play style, because if you don't have 2 water combos and the thing hits you, you are going to die. Stalling can become problematic because if you match 2 water combos to get the damage reduction to stop you dying, you may have killed the floor. And then if you minimal combo, say you match just 2 water combos and nothing else, you probably don't even have water orbs for the next floor, or next turn if you were trying to stall. So it's just a problematic playstyle as a whole. I think it's interesting, it might be a little exciting, but I don't think it is that reliable as a whole because you need 6 water orbs every single turn, and that is a challenging thing to do at this point in time, I feel, because many teams who have a similar orb-hungry requirement have the ability to actually tank hits and not go splat when anything even just looks at them. Because with 25% health, you're maybe at 10,000 or something. Something truly small overall. For their dark form has tremendous damage output. They have 4 attack while below 50%, a 7 combo, which in turn gives them 32 times personal damage against any spawn when they are below half health. And they also have a God Killer on top of that. So damage output, they're a tremendous damage solution. And their active skill is a 3-turn cooldown. And for 2 turns, you reduce the enemy's health by 100% and reduce your health to 1. So you can reset your health on a regular basis to smash through stuff, which is meaningful. As a leader, they have a modest health multiplier. They have a large damage reduction multiplier. They have quite a higher RCB multiplier, bonus combos, but a lower attack multiplier. So you have to use devil type cards, and you do gain damage reduction when you match 3 or more colors. So you are quite durable. Like dual leaders, you have quite a large amount of effective health. And you also get bonus combos when matching 3 or more colors. So Even though this attack multiplier is so low, the fact that he has so much personal damage helps offset that. And because you use devil type spot cards, you can use things like Leona or Yori, who benefit from the bonus combos, which helps ensure that their 10 combos always proc. So even though your attack multiplier is lower, you have great survivability. You have large bulk, you have large recovery, and you'll have hard-hitting leaders and hard-hitting subs. So it might be enough to compensate for this tiny 196 attack multiplier. As a whole, I would pursue this evolution of Loki over his other forms because I feel like it has the most unique potential overall. For his weapon assist, it does come with 2 evolution material killers, which is only one of 2 cards to have this, so I guess it is its own unique niche, and a physical killer. Those 2 typings I don't think will ever line up, and as a whole, it's a truly situational weapon assist. And with that in mind, I would not pursue it unless I have multiple duplicates, because Loki in his dark form is a much more exciting card as a whole. Next is GungHo Yomi, and there are 2 Yomis in this event, which makes my life incredibly confusing, but the 7-star or blue GungHo Yomi is a tremendously powerful leader when paired with Norza. This pairing can clear all content within the game, but at the same time, I feel like a large part of it is because Norza is so strong. Yomi is great, but it's Norza that makes Yomi shine brightest. So, looking at Yomi herself, she has 4 skill boosts, reliable amounts of personal damage. She has a 5-turn base cooldown, which can be used to create a column of hearts and a column of water orbs. Her leader skill gives you a good chunk of health, a slower attack multiplier, but auto follow attack. So when you pair with Norza, you gain a massive RCV you gain like essentially a large RCV multiplier because of Norza's active skill. You gain more damage output, and the auto follow attack from Yomi works because both cards want to match water and heart orbs. So as a whole, Yomi and Norza is one of the most efficient and powerful teams for blasting through Arena 4, which is still a tough and lucrative dungeon to play at this point in time. But in that same breath, right now, Velkhana paired with Norza is a better team for Shura Realm. And the reason for that is because you have a much higher attack multiplier. Velkhana hits stupendously hard as well. You also have higher effective amounts of health, and you don't need the auto follow attack that Yomi brings. Because Shura Realm is mostly a check of how much effective health you can bring and survive, and how much damage output you can deal. There are very few resolve spawns, and the couple that might appear, you can definitely deal with, because with Norza's active skill, you can basically ensure you have 5 heart ups to smash through that column, to make that column. So, as a whole, I still think GungHo Yomi is a tremendously strong leader, but she's kind of at the precipice of being kind of power crept out. Because while Arena 4 is still a tough dungeon to clear, it's not the current best dungeon to play. And Yomi Norza can still clear Shura Realm, but it faces more hurdles compared to, say, Velkhana Norza. Perhaps maybe I'm undervaluing it because I don't have a Norza as a sub. I have to use Yuri, so my output and performance is drastically worse. So I did trade for my Yomi during the latest GungHo event, and it was great because it helped me clear Arena 4 with relative ease. But at this point in time, for myself, I wouldn't personally monster exchange for her, and that's because I do not own a Norza to use as a sub. I'm using Yuri, which is a significantly worse downgrade. Still probably the second best option, but worse as a whole. But if you are a player who has a Norza, who has not been able to clear Arena 4, or like struggles with it, or like maybe has never tried Shura Realm, this might be a beneficial monster exchange for you, because, like I mentioned, you can still clear all content in the game. It's just going to be a bit harder for Shura Realm. But again, if you have that Norza sub, your life becomes that much better. So I feel like the value of Yomi is kind of like, you're great as long as you have Norza, but at the same time, she will be falling out of favor, I feel, as like the next dungeons are released, perhaps. For her dark color, it has, I guess, a nice leader skill multipliers, like nice clean numbers. It has a low base cooldown to give you a top row of water orbs, but the opportunity cost to use her dark form is so much higher compared to her base form. Her base form is so much stronger of a leader, and I would not utilize their dark form at all. For their new weapon assist, they provide you with a machine killer and 2 enhanced water orbs. So this is great for Shura Realm, where machine type spawns are the most dangerous, and they are the ones with the most effective amount of health. So this can definitely be a meaningful weapon assist to use on your mono water teams once Yomi has outlived her value. So let's say in the future when Yomi gets pushed out as a leader, it's not as great to use. her weapon assist will be a nice fallback option where it still provides some value for your given teams that are playing through Shura Realm. The next is Raphael, and Raphael is a laughably bad card. It's by far the worst 7-star card in this event, and I'm just surprised that GungHo's forgotten that he really existed. I guess he may have received some buffs, but they're so insignificant it doesn't change the fact that he is an underwhelming card. And he is underwhelming in all his forms. In his base form, he has modest VDP damage, but the biggest issue is it only does damage when you match a 3x3 box, and you're above 80% health. And as a general blanket statement, any attack wall above 80% awakenings, like cards of these awakenings, tend to be less well performing because they only provide 1.5 times bonus damage. 7 combos attack wall below 50% are 2 times damage. They're much more efficient by comparison, and they have a much larger window of success. Staying above 80% is difficult, and even though Raphael does technically have a leader skill that provides massive damage reduction when above 85%, it's not that much damage reduction at the same time, and it's just so fragile. And the fact that your leaders don't have effective damage unless they make a 3x3 box is going to be problematic because their active skill doesn't even make orbs on a faster regular basis. For their dark form, they do have a 10 and 7 combo, so they could have reasonable amounts of personal damage, but I don't find them that appealing. Like, if I want to use a 10 combo offensive card, like Rajang is a much more exciting option as a whole, I feel. Like, I don't feel like he's fulfilling any other role aside from being just a damage stick. And a damage stick doesn't do that much if they don't bring much utility because they only provide a small attack boost and a tricolor board. It's not that much. There's no resist. It's only countering attack debuffs. It's such a small attack buff as well that it can't be used to truly execute stuff at the same time. So as a whole, I feel like it is a stronger option compared to the base form, but it's just kind of like an underperforming damage solution. For their weapon assist, they have follow-up attack and attack wall above 80%. So these are 2 incredibly situational awakenings. The attack wall above 80% provides a small 1.5 times damage boost, but you can probably find that from many other cards, including the Helen card that is from the Palag machine, which is probably going to be a better usage of yourself anyways, because it provides a delay, which can be helpful. But either way, this follow-up attack might come in handy for like certain like challenges or ranking dungeons where you can't squeeze a follow-up attack on the team anywhere. Maybe you might have uses from it, but at the same time, I feel like it's unbelievably situational. The next card is a name I cannot pronounce, but she is a tremendously powerful mono dark sub in her base form. Because in her base form, she has solid amounts of damage output, especially with the VDP. She has 5 skill boosts, so wonderful for helping you transform. She has double balance, so basically your Yugi teams, Nell teams, your Chris teams, like most mono dark teams can definitely benefit from utilizing them as a sub because of the skill boost and personal damage. Their active skill is also meaningful. It provides you with a 3-turn buff of Dark Skyfalls. So you don't get orbs the turn you use it, you have a chance of getting more orbs on future turns. And on a 6-turn cooldown, you could in theory loop the 2, but I don't feel like looping is the best course of action because you're basically taking away a third of your active skills for the chance at more Dark Orbs appearing. It's not guaranteed they appear, it's just a higher chance. So these Skyfall buffs do run that risk of not actually helping you out, but thankfully, it comes with other collateral benefits. At the same time, you will have the ability to remove 5 turns of Awoken binds and unable to match orb effects. So a wonderful amount of utility squeezed into this active skill with the chance of getting you more dark orbs in the future. So a reliably strong mono dark sub, but I feel like the biggest drawback she does face is heavy competition from other strong dark subs. Right now we have cards like Alatu who have 7 effective skill boosts, a delay which can be helpful later in the dungeon, and a board changer that also provides super poison resist. She does not provide any resist either. By comparison, Wrath has a same amount of skill boost, but a much stronger active skill, I feel, because right now reducing unable to match orb effects is not that dramatic, especially if you're playing through content like Shura, especially for mono dark teams. They don't stop you matching dark orbs really at all. And Raph's attack boost along with full bind and awoken bind clear is meaningful. A 3 times burst is significant, and it's definitely enough to execute stuff. So I feel like the biggest issue she faces is a strong competition from other powerful mono dark subs. For her dark form, she has an unbelievably easy to use leader skill. All you need to do is match any 4 or more connected orbs. Doesn't matter what color, just match them. Bam! 484 times attack multiplier for attacker and devil's cards. I can see this being useful for like ranking dungeons or farming content because with her massive attack set and many TPAs, she can dish out large amounts of damage. The drawback with this leader skill is the fact that you only have, with dual leaders, 43.75% damage reduction. You're going to be quite fragile. Things that hit for reasonable amounts of damage will make you go splat. And as a result, I feel like her base form will provide more universal value as a whole. But at the same time, if you do feel like this type of leader skill will be beneficial to you at some point in time, it might be worth looking into. For her weapon assist, she provides a Dragon Killer and 2 enhanced Dark Orbs, along with that same powerful active skill in her base form. So a Dragon Killer is a meaningful killer to have, not just for like farming or ranking dungeons, but for current endgame content, especially in Altarena 4. And that is because in Altarena 4, the later spawns are the MP Dragons, which coincidentally have the Dragon typing. So slapping on this weapon assist to one of your primary damage dealing cards will help ensure that those MP dragons perish. You gain 3 times personal damage against that spawn, you gain some orb enhances to help everyone else, and this is still a powerful active skill because in Altarena 4 there are numerous unable to match orb effects, there are numerous awoken binds, and being able to counteract them on a regular basis will definitely be meaningful. So if you are playing through Altarena 4 and you feel like it's the dungeon you do truly enjoy playing, this can be a wonderfully strong weapon assist, but at the same time, you might possibly find more value in their base form as well. It all depends on what you have at your disposal. Next is Gamayla, and Gamayla in her base form is not appealing or exciting. In all honesty, it's just better to look at her dark form and weapon assist because they just have more value overall. So in her dark form, she has 7 combo, 10 combo, and potentially 3 TPAs or 2 TPAs with a VDP and a natural cloud resist. So pretty strong offensive awakenings, a bit of utility through the cloud resist, but I feel like she does suffer from several problematic aspects. She has 1 skill boost, so any team that wants to transform is not going to bring her along because she's not strong enough to justify that, and her active skill is underwhelming. For a 14-turn cooldown, you get a tricolor board of water, light, and dark. No hearts, cannot heal, and you get +3 combos. So a tricolor board without hearts should be around 8 turns or so. You're paying 6 bonus turns for those +3 combos, which may or may not be needed, and I feel like it's not truly needed. So she has a long base cooldown that makes it difficult to inherit something over top of it, and 1 skill boost which hinders her from taking part on transforming teams. So I do have a Gamayla. I used her a little bit in the past, but I found that myself not wanting to use her just because of these restrictions I mentioned. Like Kaiba is another wonderfully strong water damage dealer, but he has many more skill boosts, so it's easier to slap him onto a team. Gamayla is a bit harder to work around with. But at the same time, if you're playing a team with no transforming needs and you do need a damage solution, she can possibly fill that role. But if you do feel like she doesn't provide enough value in her base or dark form, her weapon assist might be appealing because it provides a tape resist, team health, team RCV, and 2 enhanced water orbs. So a modest amount of bulk and healing capabilities, some passive damage, tape resist, pretty nice awakenings overall, and their active skill on a 9-turn cooldown provides 2 turns of delay. So a 2-turn delay is helpful because you can inherit that on a card with a naturally low base cooldown to grant them additional effective skill boosts, and a delay might be helpful later on, like say in Shura Realm, where quite a few spawns can actually be delayed. So I think it's a reasonably strong weapon assist, but the biggest issue I feel is that it's heavily competing with other other weapon assists that are fulfilling a similar role, such as Amatsu's Loot and Spirit Ally Kororo. Because Amatsu's Loot is a much more universally helpful weapon assist. Amatsu's Loot provides you with a cloud resist, 2 team RCVs, and 3 effective skill boosts, which is 1 more than this card here, along with a massive burst, which can potentially help you kill like the first floor in Shura Realm or later floors in the dungeon. So Amatsu's Loot, I think, is a stronger option to inherit just because it's more effective skill boost. And the Spirit Ally Koro, for Alterina 4, the balance killer tied to that card is much more powerful. Both have the same 2-turn delay, but it's the balance killer that will give you that advantage because, as I mentioned with the MP dragons, they have balance typing as well as dragon typing, so you are going to be dealing 3 times personal damage against what are the most dangerous spawns in the dungeon. So I feel like the biggest issue is it's heavily overlapping with other options that are a bit better suited at this point in time. Next is Shikigami, and in their base form, they are a wonderful damage solution for Shura Realm because they have 2 machine killers, 2 devil killers, and 2 attack while above 80%, along a 7 combo Super Awakening. So those attack while above 80%, they have varying value, but it's still a little bit of extra damage if you can maintain that health threshold. But they also have balance typing, so they can use killers of any kind. So you can stack those machine killers and deal meaningful amounts of damage in Shura Realm. And the best part is, I'd say one of the more notable spawns in Shura Realm is the Devil Floor, because they have 500 million defense, like 1 point something billion health. Like, it's a stupendous amount of damage you need to deal, and Shikigami can help overcome that while still having massive damage against the machine type spawns, which are the most common. So as a whole, and as a damage solution, they are tremendously powerful. I can definitely see them being utilized for that purpose, but they do have some drawbacks. Mostly is their active skill. I don't think their active skill is particularly magical. Like, the 100% defense break, it doesn't do too much in Shura Realm, mostly because the most durable spawns are the ones with damage reduction, like 90% damage reduction. That gives them the large amounts of effective health, or they have super resolve. Like, you could defense break the Devil Floor, perhaps. That's probably like the best place to do it, but you may have enough damage already. Again, playing around with it. You could also use that damage reduction or defense break for like things like Training Arena 2, where they have high defense, so it could be meaningful there. But as a whole, I feel like the active skill is problematic, and maintaining above 80% health might be difficult at the same time. So their damage output can definitely fluctuate. For their dark form, they are another strong damage solution, but a bit more universal. They have 3 attack while below 80%, or below 50%, a god killer and a dragon killer, along with the same Super Awakenings. They also have an active skill that cuts your health to 1, gives you no Skyfalls, and changes both far columns to Dark Orbs. So you get 10 Dark Orbs out of this, so it's pretty strong. But the biggest issue I feel is that there's only one truly great team for attack while below 50%, and that is Yux. And an ideal Yux team wouldn't want to use Shikigami because even though he does have nice damage output, Yux has way better damage output and a way better active skill. So, because of that reason, I feel like they won't be picked first. Again, of course, if you have Yux and not many other options available, it can be a bit more meaningful because it does give you at least a way to cut your health on a regular basis. But cutting your health to 1 is definitely risky, even for Yux teams, because you still want to maintain a reasonable amount of health, because even with the damage reduction, you still need some health to survive. So it's a bit of a risky card, but the damage output is strong. But I feel like I'd probably be more inclined to use Archangel Lucifer just because it gives you a column of hearts and a column of dark, so it's a little bit more flexible and only cuts your health by 50%. For their weapon assist, I don't think it's that particularly amazing. They do have full bind immunity and attack while above 80%. But though, like, attack while above 80% is such a situational weapon, full bind immunity, again, it's okay. 40% jam resist is cool too, but I don't feel like this weapon assist outpaces either of their base or their dark form. So with that in mind, I would stick with either their base or dark form and only convert to a weapon if you have exhausted all of their value. For base Luluna, she has a unique active and unique leader skill that has interesting synergy with themselves, because with dual Luluna leaders, you have +6 combos when you match 6 or more connected wood orbs. So if you generate a row of wood and swipe it, you now have 7 combos. Math is hard, but that's a really weird way to do it because you now trigger all these offensive awakenings. And Luluna's active skill does give you a row of wood orbs and +3 combos for 1 turn. So now that single swipe of wood is not 1, but 10 combos. Truly outrageous, and it definitely can help when you're farming through content that has many combo shields. At the same time, I feel like this is a relatively situational leader skill overall. The multipliers are quite low, so I feel like it will struggle to perform in harder content where things have much higher amounts of health. And another drawback is this active skill is quite long. I feel like as a 12-turn cooldown, it's a bit too long. You only could use it once in a dungeon for like farming purposes. It's not like it's like a 4-turn cooldown for Roe that you can just swipe and get it back up easily. So you do have a bit of restrictions in those regards. For her dark color form, she does have 777 combo and could deal meaningful amounts of damage against dragon, devil, attacker, or physical spawns. But at the same time, there are many other damage solutions available. I don't feel that her kit is that special because those killers have to line up to deal meaningful damage. If you only have one of those typings, you have 8 times plus 3, 24 times personal damage. Not that high. Of course, if you do manage to have 2 typings overlap, it becomes more significant, but you only have 1 skill boost. You can't help teams transform, and I feel like perhaps her base form is a bit more unique just because of all the bonus combos it does offer. For her weapon assist, you have 40% jammer, 40% blind resist, and 2 wood rows. But at the same time, I've said this before in previous videos, but mono wood doesn't have a truly outstanding leader to take advantage of them. Perhaps maybe with the new Cian, like we'll scroll down further, she does offer strong leadership potential, but the rows will not be as meaningful, so that can be a little bit of a downside. So as a whole, I don't feel like this weapon assist is that magical or that powerful. I feel like her base form will provide more value overall. For Knight in his base form, he has an interesting and powerful active skill along with a leader skill. So he does have large personal damage with 10 combos, but I feel like that's not necessarily something that's going to be his main appeal. It's how he can help you farming certain content. With his active skill, you get 500,000 damage 3 times. So it's 1.5 million damage through a button, which could be enough to execute certain spawns. And at the same time, you get a bicolor board of wood and light orbs, which in turn could be matched and in turn could potentially hit those 10 combos for that sweet damage amplification. But it's his leader skill that's actually quite appealing as well. His leader skill provides you of 1.3 times egg drop rate and a 12 times attack multiplier of 9 or more combos. 9 or more combos is not realistic, but the egg drop rate is powerful and meaningful because when you play in solo mode, and like right now for the GungHo event where you're trying to farm those tokens or tickets, whatever it may be, you can play on the lower difficulties and utilize buttons or lasers or something to basically just execute floors by using active skills and not matching, which can save you stamina, saves you time, and the increased egg drop rate helps ensure that every floor has a much higher chance of dropping those tickets or tokens that you want to acquire. So this is definitely a viable alternative to Varroa. Varroa has the advantage of needing only 5 combos to proc her small damage multiplier. But at the same time, Knight, if you have enough ways to button through or you can somehow hit those 9 combos, it's okay. Varroa is a bit more reliable, but if you don't have a Varroa and you roll a Knight, I would be most interested in keeping Knight in this form. For Knight's dark color, he was once upon a time a truly great mono light sub, but he has definitely fallen out of favor. He still has 777 combo in VDP, and his 99 turn light Skyfall buff. But these 99 turn Skyfall buffs I feel like are falling a bit out of favor to a certain extent, mostly because with transforming cards and how they have such low cooldowns, you can kind of create somewhat self-systems that don't rely on Skyfalls to get orbs. If you have Ferul or multiples of her and you have 3 in total across a team, you have a system of 6 light orbs every single turn, which will greatly outpace the chance of light orbs Skyfalling down by 7%. It's just a bit problematic. At one point in time, it was much more powerful because we didn't have these great system-like teams, but with system-like teams, it's less meaningful. And as a damage solution, they're average at this point in time. Like, they don't do anything truly magical necessarily. They just are reliable, but they don't offer resist. They don't offer more utility. It's just a little unfortunate in those regards. For their weapon assist, they get a skill boost, combo orbs, and that same active button. So I guess if you were hurting for skill boost, you wanted that button, maybe, but at the same time, I would just keep him in his base form. Like, if you're using a button, you're probably going to want to have those extra egg drop rates, and at the same time, the weapon assist only gives you 1 skill boost. So at worst comes to worst, you could inherit your knight somewhere if you wanted that unique active skill, but you probably are using him as a leader for those teams anyway. So I don't feel like the weapon assist provides enough value to justify pursuing. Now we come to Cian, and Cian has become significantly stronger, not in this form necessarily, because she has to match a Wood L every single turn, which is a little problematic. It's going to be slower, it's going to be clunkier. You do have large amounts of effective health because you need to match 6 or more connected orbs for damage reduction, but it's going to be slower. And in all honesty, I feel like looking at her chibi form is much more interesting just because of the kit it brings. So, her chibi form has 777 combo with bonus damage with L's, so can have meaningful amounts of personal damage. Their active skill is actually a leader swap, and this leader swap ability will have the same effect for Bradamante, which has the same mechanics overall. But the idea is you can swap Cian as your leader after you enter a dungeon and give yourself 15 turns of Wood Skyfall, so a nice and helpful thing overall there. But this is actually a tremendously strong leader skill post-swap. You get 1.5 times stats to all Wood attribute cards with a total of 18 times multiplier for attack. You also have 50% damage reduction when you match 5 or more orbs in an L shape. So NEL triggers this. This is important because NEL is much better than specifically Wood Ls. You have more flexibility. Obviously, matching Wood Ls gives you more damage, but it's NEL. You have that nice flexibility. And this leader swap has 2 important applications that I can think of. The first application is utilizing 7x6. The second is abusing rank experience. So for 7x6, the logic is you enter the dungeon with a 7x6 leader, and then you swap Cian in place, and bam, you now have Cian with a 7x6 board and all of her wonderfully strong multipliers. This can definitely be meaningful, but at the same time, 7x6 is more punished at this point in time because in Arena 4 and Sure Realm, as mentioned beforehand, there are extra mechanics that you have to deal with. It's not to say that they're impossible, but it does slow down things. But another application that I can foresee is utilizing Cian for abusing rank experience. So the idea would be you enter the dungeon with something like Ganesha. Or Saline or whatever. That gives 1.8 times rank experience. And you only need to enter the dungeon that leader. Once you swap, you actually retain that same rank experience when you finish the dungeon. So you could be playing something like Ultra Realm, which gives you 40 odd million rank experience, and then multiplying it by your Ganesha's multipliers. You can have a stupendous amount of rank experience, but the thing is, Sure Realm gives you enough rank experience to chain rank ups to nearly 1,000, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or very close at least. So there's no real need to push for that rank experience. Perhaps those players that are at much higher ranks would have much more value out of it, but those people are basically playing a completely different game than the average individual. So I would not necessarily want to abuse the rank experience swapping if I'm below rank 950 even. Like, it's just not necessary. You'd be wasting all these rank ups anyways, and like the rank system in PAD has so many flaws as a general statement because the more you rank up, the harder it is to rank up, and the benefits you gain from ranking up don't exceed the fact that you cannot chain rank ups anymore. Just a bad system all around. So it is a possibility, and I feel like Cian's value will definitely be exponentially higher for players who like to utilize those types of techniques, or if 7x6 stops being punished in future content. Bradamante in her base form has a super blind resist, a 10 combo, a 7 combo, and a VDP. So a nice plethora of useful awakenings, but she also does have the weak time extends and the weak skill boost, which could have been super skill boost, super time extends, and then 2 more useful awakenings, but that was sadly not the case. Regardless of that, her active skill provides you with a 5-turn cooldown that generates some light orbs and locks the whole board. So that locking of the whole board prevents spinners, which does have meaning against certain spawns because spinners can be a nightmare to deal with, and being able to lock the board makes your life much simpler. But at the same time, you might possibly find more interest with her chibi form, because if you cannot necessarily make use of Bradamante as a sub here, she has powerful leadership potential with her chibi form. So her chibi form has the same template as Cian in the sense that it has that leader swapping ability, and all the same benefits I talked about, 7x6 and rank experience abusing, apply to Chibi Bradamante. And her leader skill multipliers are incredibly high. She has massive bulk and damage reduction when you hit 2 or more light combos, but if you're playing on a 7x6 board, 2 light combos is incredibly easy to do. But even if you cannot tap into 2 light combos, you still have 4 times health, which should be enough to let you tank the vast majority of hits in the game. And Chibi Bradamante also has solid damage. They have 777 combo, a VDP, and a Devil Killer. So reliably high strong solid awakenings, a nice leader skill, and when they swap, they give those 15 turns of light skyfalls, which does help. So as a whole, I feel like she is a powerful leader, and it'd be interesting to see if GungHo starts doing more of these leader swap style active skills, and I feel like they would definitely truly take off if 7x6 stops being so heavily punished. And then lastly, for the 7-star cards, this is a tremendously long video, is Dark Reeche. So GungHo Reeche has 3 skill charges, which means their 30-turn cooldown could be potentially ready in 7.5 turns, or 8 turns really. So that can definitely make a tremendous difference when you're playing through endgame content, because their active skill provides you with 2 turns of damage and color absorb void, which are found everywhere at this point in time. So having a nice counter for both of those mechanics on a card that can charge up incredibly fast can definitely be meaningful for your rainbow teams. And in addition to that, they actually have a respectable leader skill. They have 20 times attack and 50% damage reduction when you match 7 or more combos. All you need to do is match 7 or more combos, 50% damage reduction. That can be done all the time. I don't see most boards not having 7 combos. So you have reliable damage reduction. And then you have your attack multiplier when you hit 4 or more colors. There's no typing restriction, and you get bonus orb movement time. So I can definitely see them possibly be pairing with Halloween Sonya Grand, because Halloween Sonya Grand, one of her bigger weaknesses is no damage reduction, and this will solve your damage reduction needs. So that big gravity from Raphael and Shura Realm won't be a problem anymore because you have 50% damage reduction. That bonus orb movement time is cool too. You do lose out on the bonus combos, but I feel like it's a reasonable compromise, and you at least tap into Reeche's powerful active skill. But if Dark Reeche does not have enough appeal to you as a leader or a sub, their weapon assist can be meaningful. Their weapon assist provides you with a single skill boost and full bind immunity, and that same valuable active skill. So that active skill is a 30-turn cooldown, which is obviously quite lengthy, but at the same time, it also helps ensure that it doesn't accidentally charge up. So if you don't intend to use the active skill, it's great. If you want to use the active skill, you're probably only going to be able to use it once in a dungeon, but at the same time, just inherit on someone who has a low cooldown, use it, and then maybe abuse that low base cooldown afterwards. So you have flexibility with their hat or with their base form. Whew. So now we come to the 6-star cards. And the 6-star cards tend to be a little lower by comparison, but Erd is actually a tremendously powerful card. So Erd in her non-chibi form has 4 skill boosts, 2 attack while below 50%, double devil, and double healer killer. Wow, that's a lot of offensive potential, especially for Training Arena, because in Training Arena 2, they are mostly devil or healer type spawns for the vast majority, and being able to deal massive personal damage against them makes a big difference. You can also stack rows, and with her active skill, you are able to cut your own health, so yay, tap into your damage, and then create 6 fire orbs. Yay, more damage, because those orbs can be shuffled into a row. As a leader, she does have solid attack multipliers, and all you have to do is be below 25% health, all you have to be is below 50% health to tap into this 400 times attack multiplier. But you have to have every card being a reincarnated or super reincarnated card. But at the same time, if you're just trying to level up those cards, it can be useful in Training Arena 2, where Erd can be doing most of the heavy lifting, because you can layer in rows and just stack those and do lots of wonderful things. But at the same time, I feel like her chibi form is infinitely more exciting because it has the same attack multiplier but less restrictions. So her chibi form does so many different and cool things. You have super blind resist, you have 3 attack while below 50%, you have a VDP, you have a huge attack stat. So she's going to be dealing massive amounts of personal damage. And this active skill is a 1-turn cooldown. I love 1-turn cooldown actives, especially if the effect is strong. And the effect is tremendously strong here, because for 1 turn you have a massive dark attack debuff. But that's okay. It only affects the dark attribute of the card. And many of the chibi cards in this event have this type of active skill where you drastically reduce the attack of the sub-attribute. It has no bearing or implications on the primary attribute. That's a big, important distinction. So all the fire damage is still just as high. So this attack debuff is really not a penalty whatsoever. In fact, it overrides any existing debuff, so it's actually quite helpful. In addition to that, you cut your health by 50%, so you always can be in your damage zone range. And you make 3 fire orbs. Wow, lots of power within this one active skill. And as a leader, you have the capacity to grant 2 times stats to all fire cards, yay, and 1 million auto follow-up attack damage, and up to 400 times attack with dual leaders or 20 times attack with a single leader when you match 6 or more connected fire orbs. Remember, your active skill generates 3 of those orbs, and if you don't have those orbs, you could probably just stall and tank it out. You have 4 times health, or you have big health and big recovery, but you may want to pair with Dante, because Dante will give you more zest. It gives you a bit of damage reduction. It gives you another powerful active skill because you don't need 2 of these actives. And as a leader pairing, I feel like they are actually quite powerful put together. I've looked at videos where they clear lots of content with relative ease, and the flexibility of using any fire sub means you can use as a farming leader or as an endgame content leader. Like, the flexibility is quite high, and I feel like Chibi basically took all the love from all the 6-star cards and just gave it to herself. Like, Skuld and Verdandi are much weaker by comparison. And of course, I own Verdandi and not Erd. But Verdandi, in her non-chibi form, I still find a little underwhelming. Like, it's got some god killing, some VDP, some skill boosts. It's nothing truly meaningful. Like, you do have nice big multipliers, but you have to match 5 or more connected heart orbs, so you need both heart and water orbs to deal damage. You need to be reincarnated, super reincarnated. Not so great. And Verdandi, as a Godfist exclusive, is green, and this always confuses me because Skuld is blue in the GungHo event, and no, green in the GungHo event and not blue. Either way, Chibi Verdandi has large VDP damage. She could have 4 skill boosts or a super jam resist instead of 2 extra. She has a 2-turn base cooldown with the 0 times RCV, so you can't heal, which is kind of awkward, but you also get a column of hearts, and that's purely just to solve your orb hungry needs for your leader skill. Your leader skill does feature nice multipliers. You need to have water type cards and match 5 or more connected heart orbs. So your active skill does solve that. And you might think, well, maybe I could utilize this with Norza, but it's not going to be an improvement of Norza paired with Velkhana or Norza paired with Yomi. It also cannot be a substitute for Norza sub because this active skill generates just a column of hearts. It could overwrite your water orbs. Yuri at least doesn't overwrite water orbs, so you're not necessarily going to break your activation, because breaking your activation is quite bad for Norza teams. So I don't feel like Chibi Verdandi is going to be a stronger sub solution either. I would just rather use my Yuri, who has all those 7 combos and reasonable amount of damage output anyways. Like, the VDP damage here is nice, but Norza should be able to handle that. And again, if you have a Norza sub, you're not going to want to use this Verdandi as a sub. For Skuld, in her non-chibi form, she has far too many skillbind resists, like way too many. It eats into her awakening slots, and while her active skill is a gemstone style burst that based off skillbind resist, it's not a practical thing to use. You're much better off looking at her chibi form, because in her chibi form she has either 5 skill boosts or 3+ super poison resist, or a 7 combo. Like, she's got lots of nice super awakenings. She also has a 10 combo awakening as well, so she does have respectable amounts of damage output. A nice 3-turn base cooldown where it's attack nerf to light, which is okay, and it creates 3 water, 3 wood, and 3 light orbs, which is important for her own leader skill activation, but I feel like her leader skill is too restrictive. You need to have 3 specific colors. That cuts down on orb changing and board changers. It also makes it much more risky to run and a bit slower as a whole. And even though these multipliers are quite large, I feel like it's not that meaningful because you don't get bonus combos in this leader skill, and Skuld's damage comes from hitting 10 or more combos. So if you don't hit 10 or more combos, your Skuld is underperforming. And if both your leaders are underperforming on a regular basis, that is going to be problematic. So, like, these are nice multipliers, but I don't feel like she's that great as a whole. Maybe pairing with other wood leaders that give bonus combos might be helpful, but I feel like the fact that you have to match 3 specific colors is a bit more restrictive as a whole. For Belial, don't even look at their base form. Look at their chibi form. In their chibi form, they have potentially 5 TPAs and double 7 combo. And those together gives you 30.75% or 30.375 times attack to any spawn. That's a meaningful amount of personal damage, but the problem is their attack value is so low. Like, I've used cards like Astalos, who have many TPAs and in double 7 combo, and a similar idea to Belial, but Astalos has way more attack. So Astalos actually does much more meaningful damage. Belial doesn't by comparison, and I feel like that is definitely problematic because it's going to be something you want to invest in, but it's not going to be performing as well as you want them to do. And for mono fire teams, a lot of them actually don't want to match TPA. They might be blob based, so it doesn't actually have relevance there either. So that is problematic too. So I feel like they have some potential, but it's just nowhere great to utilize them on at this point in time. And as a leader, you do have nice multipliers, but if you don't match fire and dark at the same time, you're going to go splat. Perhaps their active skill can compensate as a 5-turn tricolor board changer, which is wonderfully strong, but at the same time, I feel like the damage output is just not going to be as high as we want it to be, just because TPA is not the greatest sometimes, and this low attack stat is definitely going to be a hindrance. For Mercury, in her base form, she has wonderful dragon killing prowess. She has 2 dragon killers, can take dragon killer latents, has 2 attack while above 80%, and a physical or attacker killer super awakening. So large amounts of personal damage against dragon spawns, large base attack. One of the better dragon killing options available at this point in time, and I'm most inclined to keep her in this form for that reason, because her chibi form does have the ability to kill attacker or physical spawns, but it's like not as high. Like her personal damage won't be as high against one of those respective spawns because of the lack of attack while above 50% awakenings. Those attacks. Oh, wait a second. Never mind. Sorry, I got a little mixed up. Like, it still is a strong in the chibi form, but I find like dragon killing is a bit rarer as a whole. I feel like I have less great dragon killing solutions, and I'd rather keep her in that form for that reason. But at the same time, a killer sub is only as useful as the killers they bring for the dungeon at hand. So you might even just swap between the two potentially, because she does have huge amounts of personal damage against attacker or physical spawns, because she can get triple killers of those and have the killer latents as well. So a strong damage killing solution for various spawns or typings, and I'm quite happy to own one Mercury myself. For Shust, they give a 300 times attack button, which is cool. Set your health to 1, create a row of water orbs. For skill boosts, it has value there for certain farming compositions, but their chibi form I think is a little bit more interesting, because their chibi form provides you with 8 water rows and 4 skill boosts. So a massive amount of passive damage, and their active skill creates a row of water orbs on a 4-turn cooldown. So easy enough to keep using over and over again. Great for swiping, great for damage dealing. And their leader skill does have a nice attack multiplier, but you have only 6 seconds to move orbs, and you have to hit 7 or more combos and match 6 or more water orbs. Not something that's going to happen on a regular basis. Better off to use them as a sub for your farming needs and purposes. And I find that the passive damage they bring and a very loopable active skill makes them much more appealing in that form. For Artemis in her base form, she plays a couple of different roles. She can be an evolution material killing solution because she has 2 of those, which is incredibly rare. She also could be a devil killing solution because she has 2 devil killers and the ability to take devil killer latents. And she has high base attack. So then what you need to decide is what killer is more important, and that will determine what latents you slap on her. But for myself, because I have a Zeo Megazord weapon assist, I will probably just keep her with devil killer latents because I can slap on 2 evolution material killers through a weapon assist, and that's more than enough to kill whatever spawn there is. So I feel like she's a great devil killing solution that can also double up as a niche evolution material killer. And at the same time, her 6-turn active can be utilized to make a row of light orbs. For her chibi form, she does create a column of hearts and a column of light orbs on a 5-turn cooldown. Quite a powerful orb changer, and as a cross leader, it does have big multipliers, big damage reduction, bonus combos, but heart cross leaders suffer from quite a few different problems. Without a heart cross, they die. Resolve spawns can be problematic. Void spawns can be clunky. The bonus combos definitely help hedge against that, but it's not worth it, I feel, pursuing as a leader. And as a whole, I feel like her base form is a bit more appealing overall, just because you have the ability to have that evolution material killer, and it's a little bit more niche applications overall. Like I enjoy cards that have niche applications. Being a generic kind of Jack or Jill of all trades, master of none, is less appealing than someone that excels in a particular metric. For the second GungHo Yomi, just go to the Weapon Assist. Weapon Assist is way better, unless you need a very budget, very easy beginner-friendly leader. But as a Weapon Assist, last time around, I gave this card an S rank because it was incredibly powerful at the time because Ultima 4 was the dungeon to beat. And the reason for that is because this active skill tied to the Weapon Assist is incredibly strong. You get a time extend buff, you get an RCV buff, you get an attack buff on a 7-turn cooldown. Plus, you get full bind immunity. So you inherit this on top of someone like Diao Chan or A10 who are bind vulnerable and low base cooldowns, and now you have an active skill that can counter the vast majority of mechanics found in Ultima 4. So the value of this Weapon Assist will come down to what dungeon you're currently playing through. If you are playing through Shura Realm, this Weapon Assist has much less value because those buffs and debuffs are much less common by comparison. But if you are playing through Ultima 4 and that is your true goal, this is a wonderfully strong Weapon Assist solution because it counters so many different and commonly seen mechanics found in that dungeon. So again, if you have this Weapon Assist, it's going to be one of the better tools at your disposal for playing through Ultima 4 as a general blanket statement. And now we come to the 5-star cards, and 5-star Helen does not look good aside from her chibi form because her chibi form has the ability to provide a sizable amount of healing potential because of the 5 enhanced hard orbs, and they have a modest amount of RCV. They also have a powerful active skill on a 3-turn cooldown. It gives you a bind and awoken bind skill clear for 7 turns, and it's easy to inherit over top of it, so it's going to give you nice amounts of flexibility. The biggest drawback of this is the low weighted stats. All it's going to do is a healing solution and a bind awoken bind solution. It's not providing that much overall. There's no resist. Like, the low cooldown does help, but you have low stats as well. Like, the RCV is not that high. If you have like spicier wood healing solution options like Amula, I believe it is, she has the ability to heal significantly more, and plus with probably heals much more because of higher RCV stat, or just has better other awakenings and real meaningful stats as well. So I feel like if you have no other healing solutions, this can work. But as a farmable alternative, you could use Air as well, who does provide different kinds of value overall. For this girl I can't pronounce, look at her chibi form, because her chibi form has double machine killer, 777 combo. So she has that alongside of a high base attack. So she can deal 72 times damage against machine type spawns. That's a tremendous amount of damage because at this point in time, Shura Realm is the dungeon to beat, which has machine spawns. So even though she has low stats, especially low health, she can potentially function on your Gillian teams, because Gillian teams, while they do have tremendous damage output once they transform, their Gillian and their Grandis are not going to be dealing damage until then. And you need to kill the first floor in Shura Realm before the blue thing hits you. And they are a machine type spawn, which means this individual here can work. The biggest problem is that she competes with Inahime and Pixel Napoleon. Both of these cards have great machine killing potential, but they offer other benefits instead of just pure damage. This card here has a low base cooldown, but it's not an active skill I want to use. Inahime with their base active and the Pixel Napoleon have the ability to create fire orbs with their base cooldown, which means if things are going badly, you can always give yourself fire orbs to kill the blue spawn in the middle and advance throughout the dungeon. And the fact that she has so little health and no other resist does give her less utility. So I have Inahime. I feel like I probably still use Inahime because I find that active skill is a bit better. The extra health gives me a bit more flexibility. And after Grandis transforms, after Gillian transforms, damage is never an issue anymore. So I don't need another 7 combo card that could hit hard against machines at that point in time. Tenfufa in her chibi form has triple balance killer, triple TPA, but a terribly low attack stat. This is problematic because you want these types of killer cards to deal large amounts of damage, but that's not going to be the case, unfortunately. One thing I failed to mention with any of these chibi cards is that they actually have respectable leader skill multipliers if you are a brand new player and have nothing available, because it's 15 seconds of movement time and reasonable multipliers as a whole. But for Tenfufa, I don't feel like her balance killing potential is as great just because of the low attack stat. Yes, with the TPAs, you definitely you close that gap, but you have to be mindful that you have to match that TPA to truly succeed. And of course, you're obviously only helpful against balance type spawns, as any killer solution would be. Atlanta in their weapon assist form, has passive damage of rows and orb enhances, but the incredibly low base cooldown means it's easy to accidentally charge up, which you won't want to have because it's not a good active skill to utilize. So as a general statement, weapon assists that provide passive damage tend to be brought in after resists are taken care of. And there are other weapon assists that give passive damage that are more reliable and less risky to use because they don't accidentally charge up as fast. Orpheus has 2 co-op boost awakenings, which means he has significantly higher stats in multiplayer, which means his mediocre attack stat becomes more impactful to carry a button in co-op. The idea is you inherit a button with an attack multiplier tied to it. So that means like it will say to say 300 times attack of the card, 300 times damage of the monster's attack stat. So Orpheus with the boosted stats can be a better button base. That's basically all his value. If you don't play co-op, you don't button. This has very little value overall. And a similar thing can be said for their weapon assist. It gives you a co-op boost. You inherit it on something like Brachydios, who has a large button and large attack stat, so you give him even more attack value. It's incredibly situational, only good in co-op, only good if you're buttoning, but it's still something to have in the back of your mind. And Delphyne, in her base form, has the capacity to be a reasonably strong healer-killer solution. 2 healer-killers, healer-killer latents, 2400 attack stat, reasonable overall, reasonable healer-killer solution. As a weapon assist, she gets 60% jam resist. That's kind of it. It's basically like a very bare bonesy style weapon assist. It reminds me of the original Monster Hunter ones, which were valuable back then, but significantly less value now, along with jam resist not being the most pursued resist in the game. So, wow, that was a lot of talking. Do I plan to roll and dream roll? So, I do not plan to roll in the GungHo Collab event, but at the same time, I feel like when I do my Twitch stream later on this evening, I will get peer pressure to roll a bit because I do have quite a few magic stones because I've been rolling pretty well lately, so I haven't had to spend as much in previous events. But at the same time, it does feature pretty strong rolling rates. 25% chance for any 7-star card is appealing. So if I do 4 rolls at the cost of 24 magic stones, in theory I should have 1 6-star, 1 6-star, 1 7-star, 2 5-stars. Not bad overall, so it is definitely worth possibly a couple of rolls, but I wouldn't go super hard on it. But at the same time, it's always nice to dream about what could happen. And for my dream 7-star card, I would like to get Minerva, because my rainbow box can definitely benefit from more leaders. I don't have a good option to pair with Dire for 6x5, and with Minerva, I can use 6x5 pairing with Dire and open up new team compositions because it boosts God types, which has subs I couldn't bring for other teams. For my 6-star card, I've raved about Erd in her review. I obviously want to have Erd because I feel like she's a tremendously strong card. Perhaps maybe I'm overvaluing her, but I feel like she can do quite a few powerful things as a leader, sub, for either endgame content or even farming content. Lots of opportunities and potential there. And for 5-star, I'll take the girl whose name I cannot pronounce because her chibi form gives me that interesting machine killing potential, and maybe it could be an alternative to Inahime, but I'm not sure if I would even switch if that was the case. So, in conclusion, the GungHo Collab event is a monstrously large affair. This took a tremendously long time to write. There's over 11,000 words in this article, and as a whole, like, you do have a pretty good chance of rolling higher rarity cards, but at the same time, you are going to have to slog through 50% of relatively lackluster bottom rarity cards. And again, it's up to you whether or not that is actually worth it for yourself. But at the same time, let me know what you think about this event in the comments below. Do you think it is worth rolling in? And if you did end up rolling, who would you hope to get and who would you actually acquire? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.